So guys, I just finished watching Monday Night Raw, and I have a theory. And yes, pun intended. So what's going on guys, I'm your Average Joe, welcome to your Average Joe Wrestling. So this is a place where we're going to have a little sit down, a little discussion, have a little bit of fun on some fantasy booking and just discussing WWE in general. Now, if you're unfamiliar with me, I do also run a couple of other channels where we play Universe Mode in the 2K games on WWE, and I also have another channel where I play some random games on a Let's Play channel. So the links to those channels will be in the description down below, but let's get on with the video. So today we're going to focus mostly on the Vision and the whole story of the Vision and where I feel that maybe it could be going. So I've just finished watching the 15th of December episode of Monday Night Raw, and this episode specifically really planted some ideas into my brain as to where WWE could be going with this whole Vision story, what could be coming in the future, and I thought I'd share my thoughts here. So I just want to take a trip back down memory lane and kind of recap on what's happened with the Vision so far. So of course we had Bron Breakker turning on Seth freaking Rollins a little while ago now. I can't even remember exactly how long ago it was now, but it feels like a few months now. And obviously that was after Seth Rollins faced Cody Rhodes and injured his shoulder. Now I'm sure that all of us can agree we saw the turn coming. We saw that Bron Breakker would eventually turn on Seth freaking Rollins. But I felt like when it actually ended up happening, when Bron Breakker did turn, it felt almost like maybe they had to pivot. So because of the Seth injury, obviously I'm pretty sure that probably wasn't part of the storyline. It could be, we don't know, maybe it was part of the storyline, but it seems like Seth was really actually hurt, so I'm going to guess that it wasn't actually planned. So I feel like maybe they kind of pushed the turn of Bron Breakker a bit sooner, because a part of me wonders whether Seth was supposed to be in War Games, but anyway, that's going down a different route. So yeah, it just makes me feel like WWE were forced to pivot because of the Seth injury, and I feel like that's where things really changed with the Vision, and that could be where the start of what I believe is going to happen next could have started. So after Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed turned on Seth and absolutely destroyed him, wiped him out after he was already injured, what happened next? I'm sure you remember Becky Lynch approaching Paul Heyman backstage, and what did she say to Paul Heyman? She specifically told Paul that Seth knew that he was going to turn on him, and she was actually, well, Seth was actually surprised that it didn't happen sooner. Becky also said that Seth was going to kill anyone that Paul attached himself to. Any Nepo babies that Paul attached himself to, Becky made it perfectly clear that when Seth comes back, he's going to destroy basically anyone that Paul attaches himself to. So that led me to believe, that alone led me to believe that Austin Theory would most likely be the person behind the mask, and I was going to do a video on that, but I honestly felt like he was going to get unmasked on the January 5th episode of Monday Night Raw, but clearly I was wrong about that, so I could be wrong about this as well, but yeah. So yeah, before the Masked Man was revealed as Austin Theory, I had a feeling it would most likely be him. He just seemed like the perfect choice, if that makes sense. And my whole idea behind it was that Seth freaking Rollins would have sent Austin Theory to mess with the Vision, and I feel like at some point when Seth eventually makes his return, he's likely going to side with Austin Theory, the man who was under the mask. So of course Seth Rollins and Austin Theory have their history from back in the COVID times where we were in the Thunderdome, and of course Austin Theory was one of the disciples for the Messiah, so you have that story there. There's a bit of history there between them already that you can already build upon. So it would almost be like Seth Rollins is almost making Austin Theory his disciple again, but maybe on another level. My whole thought was the Masked Man has been sent by Seth, and the most logical choice would be to have that person as Austin Theory. Now, I also want to go back to when Seth was injured. So after he was injured, what happened? Logan Paul joined the Vision, but how did he join the Vision? It wasn't like they invited him in or anything like that. It was basically Bronson Reed squished him, and he decided, nope, I don't want to be against you guys. I'd rather be on your team. So don't hurt me and I'll help you out, basically. So, and at first I felt like it was a bit odd that Logan kind of just joined the Vision like that. It seemed a bit off. And I've also noticed that there's been some interactions backstage between the Vision and Logan Paul, which have been a little bit off.
Did anybody see Rey Mysterio smack me in the face?
And I've noticed small things like people's facial expressions and the way that they react to each other and they react to comments made by each other. So, for example, there was an episode where I think it might have been when Logan faced LA Knight, but earlier on in the show, backstage, you had Logan almost commanding the Vision on what to do, and it seemed like Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker kind of gave each other a look as if to say, like, who's this guy I think he is? So I honestly thought that they were going to turn on him that night, but clearly not. Like, I thought Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed might turn on Logan that night. Obviously, I was wrong about that as well. But yeah, there's been a few little interactions like that, and there was even one on this episode which specifically made me think this idea.
Night's gone. Okay, you took him out.
So it was before Logan's match with Ray, and it was when they were backstage, the Vision was backstage, they were talking, and I think that Logan had mentioned the Masked Man briefly, and then Paul came over and was kind of like, what about the Masked Man? Like, almost putting Logan on the spot, and it looked like Logan for a second had panicked a little bit, almost as if, like, oh, why are you asking me about it, kind of thing. And then as Paul Heyman was starting to talk about the Masked Man and saying that he's actually happy to have the assistants, blah blah, he doesn't know who it is, but as long as their vision aligns with the Vision, then he's happy for the help. And it looked like Logan had started to relax, and he actually gave a specific look which was kind of like a, oh, have they noticed or have they clocked on type of expression, I guess you could say. So to me, that there and this episode of Monday Night Raw, really, it feels like something clicked for me, and I don't know if this is correct. Obviously, this is just my opinion, but I feel like Logan Paul knew who the Masked Man was the entire time. So let's talk about the Masked Man for a second. Let's actually recap what we've seen of him so far. So the first appearance, Survivor Series, War Games, what did he do? He jumped into the cage, he stomped Punk, the Vision won, bang, Bob's your uncle. Second appearance of the Masked Man, what happened? It was Logan Paul versus LA Knight. What did he do? He stomped LA Knight, and then Logan Paul got the victory, and then obviously they did the beatdown on LA Knight and absolutely wrecked him and killed him, and now he's gone. And then third appearance was this episode, and what happened? Logan Paul was facing Rey Mysterio. What did he do? He stomped Rey Mysterio, and Logan Paul won. And then obviously he ran into the crowd afterwards, after there was a bit of shenanigans, and then that's when, boom, reveal the mask, bang, Austin Theory is the man behind the mask. So you might be wondering, why do I think that Logan Paul knew who it was? Well, the main thing is that interaction backstage where Logan seemed to be put on edge when there was a bit of pressure put on him by Paul Heyman about the Masked Man. Obviously, Paul Heyman wasn't accusing him or anything, but Logan looked guilty. And it's like, well, why do you look guilty? Like, you have nothing to be guilty of. Like, clearly you're not behind the mask because you were inside War Games. And this guy has attacked people when you've been in matches. That's another reason why I think Logan knew who it was. Because if you really think about it, the Masked Man has helped Logan specifically the most out of anyone. Because like I said, Logan was inside War Games. His team ended up winning because of the Masked Man. Logan faced LA Knight. The Masked Man stomped LA Knight. Logan got the victory. Logan was facing Rey Mysterio. Masked Man stomps Rey Mysterio. Logan gets the victory. So it's almost like they're in on it with each other. It's almost like the Masked Man is trying to help Logan specifically. If you don't pick up on these tiny details, then it can easily look like, well, the Masked Man's helping the Vision. He's not just helping Logan. It's very smart the way they're doing it. They're making it look as if the Masked Man is helping the Vision. But if you really pay attention to the small details, then you can start to kind of connect the dots. So here's my big theory about the whole storyline of the Vision and everything, what I think, I obviously briefly mentioned that I feel like Seth has sent Austin Theory to mess with the Vision, and eventually it's probably going to be Seth is the mastermind behind it, because obviously they call him the architect and all of that, and he's always supposed to be like a couple of steps ahead of everyone else, and I feel like that's probably the route they're going to go down with that. But this episode of Monday Night Raw really made me think Logan Paul may have actually been planted by Seth freaking Rollins inside the Vision. I know, it's a crazy thought and it's a crazy theory, but hear me out. Like, the other reason why I feel like this is a big possibility is because if you really think about it, it was literally immediately after Seth was wiped out, that was when Logan joined. So straight after Seth got wiped out, Logan almost got wiped out, and then that's when he decided, no, you know what, I'd rather be on your side than against you. If you can't beat them, join them. So I really feel like in the long term, we could be seeing, I honestly feel like we could actually see Seth Rollins return on the January 5th episode of Raw. Obviously, I don't know how far along he is in his recovery, and I know that, I mean, it's Seth Rollins, and I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back early, a lot sooner than expected. I have seen reports that he has stated that he wants to be back for WrestleMania, and I think he even thinks that he can be back for WrestleMania. So, I mean, I don't think it's the craziest shout that he could come back on that January 5th episode of Raw, because I really thought that the Masked Man would be unmasked on that show, because that's a big moment. And obviously, the Raw Netflix, I feel like they have to have a big moment on that because it's the anniversary. I feel like Logan Paul, it could be at WrestleMania, reveals that he was with Seth all along, and Seth was the man who planted him in the Vision, and then Seth has maybe his own kind of new faction, new Vision. I don't know. Hopefully they don't call it the Vision as well, because that will get old. But Seth Rollins, Austin Theory, and Logan Paul all together, and this whole situation has been orchestrated and manufactured by the architect, Seth Rollins. But yeah, that's just my opinion. That's just my thoughts on what could possibly be happening with the Vision going forward, and WWE and Monday Night Raw. But let me know in the comments, what do you think? Do you have opinions on where things may go with the Vision? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Give me reasons. I hope you've enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Take care and peace.